Hello, good afternoon, real estate professionals. Thank you for joining our Agent Advantage webinar today. My name is Kurt Klaus, and this week we are excited to have a little different topic for those of you that have joined us in the past. Good to see you again. For those of you that are new, we do these webinars weekly, typically on the tools and technology we have here at the Guaranteed Rate Companies. But today we are going to speak on virtual events. Understand that, the world isn't what it used to be, and we know how important events are. According to NAR, 70% of a typical agent's business comes from referral business. And again, depending on where you are and what your comfort level is, and we're still pining for the face-to-face events, but the replacement today is the virtual events. And just like a real event, there can be good ones and there can be bad ones. So today, we are going to share with you how you can have your own really good virtual events. Advantages, of course, are the cost. I know personally, virtual events as an attendee, again, there's good ones and bad ones from my family to big events, but the good ones can be super fun, and sometimes you're more likely to join because it's a lot easier to jump on and join. So the Agent Advantage webinar series, we do these every couple weeks. We have one slotted for the 18th. We're still putting that together, but that topic will be how to help you with your social media. But today's topic again is virtual events, and we are thrilled to have a good friend of mine, Debbie Ellenbogen. I think we've worked together for, 5-6+ years, Debbie?
Yeah,
Debbie,
almost 8.
Is it 8? I was trying to count it down, but we're super glad to have you here. Debbie is our Senior National Events Manager. So she handles events for all of the Guaranteed Rate companies, from small events, when they were cranking 200 small loan officer events every month, to the big events, Guaranteed Rate field events, big national events, and internal company events with thousands of people. So we're happy to have Debbie here to share her expertise, and they did a great job with pivoting when things changed in the spring to go from the face-to-face events to these really cool virtual events. So she's going to share some ideas and how to execute these with some topics. We try to keep these webinars at 30 minutes. We do them live, so you can ask questions. So please ask questions. If we can squeeze one in during the webinar, we will. Otherwise, we'll get to those at the end. So good afternoon, Debbie, and thank you again for being here.
Well, thank you, Kurt, and thanks for that amazing introduction. Very much so has this year has changed the way that we look at events, networking with our clients, those we normally gather in person with and get to connect with in that way. We are shifting gears. Some of us maybe personally aren't as comfortable gathering in person, or we know, those we would normally invite to in-person events may not feel comfortable. So we have made the shift to doing a lot of virtual events. And I want to share with you the things to think about, steps to getting started with planning your events, great ideas to help you with different themes and things that you can do to host them. We're going to walk through all of those today. And yeah, as Kurt said, please feel free to chat in questions. I'm happy to try and answer them all so that we can really get you guys feeling comfortable about hosting events in this new way. So what I wanted to start with was how hosting virtual events is different. And I want you to feel excited about this. Things have changed, and we're so used to being able to be together in a room with people and share in that time. But virtual events can still be a really awesome way to engage, to catch up, to share time. And I want to share those positive aspects with you now to kick it off. So one of the major things that I think a way to shift your brain around virtual events is the fact that you can invite anyone, clients that you work with, other people in your company that you want to engage with that may not be locally close. You can now invite them without any concerns about drive times or, does the facility have parking? All of those elements that you have to think about when your guest list is transporting in is gone. So, you can invite people out of your city, out of your state, from really anywhere around the country. So that frees us up a little bit, which is awesome. And the same with those that you may be hosting on your event. If you're hiring instructors, performers, entertainers, they too can be anywhere around the country. My team has been planning events that have included yoga instructors from California and mixologists and flair bartenders from Las Vegas. And we've got professional chefs from New York. It really opens up those who can be part of your event, since they don't have to be in the room, they don't have to travel in. So again, kind of opening our minds up to the possibilities that virtual events can offer us.
Yeah, anywhere in the world. Yeah, they can bring from
Exactly. Just consider your time zones when you're thinking about that. But totally, it can be anywhere, which is great. And we are all looking for ways to engage still. So many of the areas of the country, went through some stay-at-home orders, and there are concerns, and we're shifting back somewhat to that way. And so people are still looking for ways to get entertained, to share time, to engage with you. So don't put it aside. Don't say I'll wait until next year. Take advantage of the now, especially as we move into the holiday season. That's going to look different for people, and they're still going to want that chance to celebrate the holidays, to gather in a safe way. So virtual events are really great for that. And so much of what we normally have in our lives, maybe kids' sporting events or other obligations with work, a lot of those have been taken off of the schedule. So people are freed up, and we're seeing much higher RSVP respondents to events, much higher engagement, which is, again, fantastic. Be thinking about that. Make sure you're still setting things up, even if you're not doing it in person. Shifting gears to these virtual events really is a great alternative.
Yeah, and I would say timing now with the holidays, like you said, it's the time to think about the Thanksgiving or the Christmas or the New Year's, and there's no reason you can't have your annual event. You're just shifting to a virtual one.
Exactly. Don't scrap it. We all thrive on connecting with each other, and so make sure you're planning something. And again, they can be casual. One of the things I think guests love, and again, why we're getting that higher RSVP rating, is they don't have to drive in. They don't have to dress up. They don't have to worry about so many elements. They can jump on when their time is up. They can jump off, and they're home already. So again, it's a very attractive way of attending events for most of your people's networks right now. So what do you do to get started? Some of the things that I think are important to think about, they are important when you're hosting an in-person event, but they're even more important when you're thinking about hosting a virtual event. And one of those first pieces is, how much do you want to take on? Being the host of the event, do you want to be the person leading the conversations, asking the questions, making sure everyone feels a part of the event and engaged? For some, that's ideal. They want to be sure that they've interacted with everyone at the event. And for others, that can seem daunting and overwhelming. So be thinking about that, and either is a complete opportunity for you. If you want to lead it, go ahead and take the reins. But if you feel like that's too much for you, think about hiring an instructor or a vendor that can lead the event for you. They can do a demonstration, they can do a class, they can just be a performer, and we're going to get into some of those themes and options in a little bit. But again, then you get to introduce them, say hello, and then sit back and enjoy the event. And for a lot of you, I think that might be the preferable way to go. So think about that as one of the aspects of your event, as well as the number of guests that you want to host. That's important with in-person events if there's, capacity for a physical space. But when you're online virtually, and most of us have attended meetings recently where, everyone's cameras are on, everyone's microphones are on, everyone can be speaking and talking. And I do think that's the closest to being in person that you can do virtually. And so it does hold some appeal for people. But the more guests you have on, if you get over 10, it can feel a little chaotic.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you've
I was
got
just going to ask
background.
you, like, what's your, obviously, if there's a performer, you could have, it's unlimited amount of people viewing in, but if it's something more personal or conversational, what's the sweet spot for number of guests if you're trying to include everyone on a conversation? But 10, you think, is the magic number?
I would say don't go over 10. If you can even keep it between, maybe 6 or 8,
Mhm.
that feels again the most like being in person because people can be speaking across from each other. No one has to kind of be the host. Everyone can kind of engage and enjoy together. But it can feel like a lot if
Yeah,
you have more than 10 or more than 15 and people are talking over each other or there's noises in the background. That can add somewhat of a stress level element to your event. So if you're thinking of hosting more than 10, I would strongly suggest, I'm going to talk about platforms in a second, but hosting more along the lines of a webinar, like what we're doing today, where the hosts can log on and they have the ability to turn their microphones on, turn their cameras on. And then there is also a link for attendees. And then they are more passive. They can just watch the presentation, they can chat in their questions, and that's their interaction with the hosts. And then, right, you don't have that background noise. You don't have people jumping in on top of each other. So, be thinking about that and kind of what you would prefer or what type of event you would want to host. And then we get lots of questions right now about time for planning. As I mentioned, people don't have as many things in their schedule anymore. So we've had people ask, can't I just, plan something on Monday and invite people on Friday? And while you can, I would say best practice is still to leave yourself about 3 to 4 weeks, around that month, so that you can think of the type of event that you want to host. You can reach out to those vendors, those instructors, those entertainers, and get them booked. You want to be sure that you've got a great date that you want, you've got the time that you want for your event, and that they're available for that. Certain types of events, things like cooking classes or mixology bartending events. Some of the companies out there that you can work with have kits that they can mail to your attendees that have some of the ingredients, some of the stuff that they're going to present during the event that you would want to send leading up. It gets people excited, getting things in the mail. It really helps with your turnout. So you also want to be sure you're leaving enough time for people to be able to RSVP, give you those addresses for sending, and then you can ship items and get them there prior to the day of the event. So just things to be thinking about. Definitely you still want to leave time to promote it, get people excited about it. And then also that's a great time to do those one-on-one phone calls, just making sure you got my invite, haven't talked to you through all of this, want to be sure, things are well with you. Again, it's a great reason to connect with, past clients, anyone in the community that you've worked with, people that you just want to stay in touch with. And then the last piece of why I say to leave yourself enough time is to do a test run. No matter what platform you use, no matter if you're doing it yourself or you have multiple speakers or instructors that you're bringing on, you want to be sure that you give yourself an opportunity to run through it, with that person, try out the settings, maybe have a friend or a team member be on the other side watching so that it all looks good and runs smoothly. That would be something I always recommend to people who are either new to virtual events or even if they're old hat. Running through it makes everyone feel comfortable and assured that it's all going to go smoothly that day. So I did mention platforms, which is a big question that I get a lot. As we're doing virtual events, people use certain platforms for their meetings, but they're not sure if it's appropriate for their events. And there are so many out there. It can be a little bit daunting and hard to navigate. So one of the first things that I would suggest is if you're currently part of an organization or a company, checking with them first to find out if they already have a contract in place with one of these platforms. Quite often they do, and then you can just take part in that. You can get some login credentials because many of these do require paid service. They do have free trials. So before you commit to anything, I would also suggest, if it is going to be something you have to pay into, doing that free trial run, seeing if it's a platform you feel comfortable with. Is it user-friendly for what you want to do? Some of the things in this list, like Facebook Live and YouTube Live, they are pretty much restricted to when I was saying that webinar type format, something like what we're doing today, where you go on and present, or the person that you hire to help with your event is presenting, and then everyone else is just attending. Sometimes you can leave that chat box open if you want, or you can turn it off if you don't want those questions coming in. But things like Facebook and YouTube, they don't really allow for that interaction between guests that you would want if you want to leave cameras and microphones open. Other things to be aware of, things like Facebook or Apple FaceTime, your attendees do need to either have a Facebook account if it's going to take place on Facebook, or they need to have an Apple device if you're going to be doing it through Apple FaceTime. Android phones and things like that don't have that capability. So just be thinking along those lines of who you're inviting. Most people these days do have a Facebook account, but if the people you're inviting, maybe just aren't social media gurus or are not interested in that, you want to check that out ahead of time. Some of the most common are the first two on this list, like Zoom and GoToMeetings. A lot of the questions and people that we're working with are using those platforms. The great thing about these are that they are versatile. They can have a meeting setting. So it can be a Zoom meeting where, again, everyone's cameras are on, people are engaging with each other. You can switch off who's sharing their screen, or you can change it to a Zoom webinar where it is the people who are presenting can log in, and then everyone else gets an attendee-only link where they can just watch. So lots of platforms out there. I would say, again, Zoom and GoToMeeting are the ones that we're seeing utilized the most. Microsoft Teams, if you are using Microsoft software, you have the Office platform. Typically, most of those will have a Microsoft Teams. Again, that's more interactive. But take the time to play around with them. Hopefully, in some of your day-to-day meetings, you've gotten a chance to be exposed to some of these. But before your event, I always recommend doing that test run so that you know how things are going to work for you on the day of. Mm-hmm. Well, I also want to share with you guys some great ideas of events that you can host. We want to be thinking about the steps leading up to putting the event together, but so often people ask me, what are events that work well virtually, that people can get excited about, that they do engage with? And I would say these are the ones that work great in that larger group setting, where an instructor will just share their screen, walk you through the whole cooking class, or walk you through the meditation, and everyone else can just kind of be in the background enjoying that. I would say, meditation classes have been on the rise with so much stress in people's day-to-day life. It's great to be able to offer that. They can be 15 minutes, they can be a half hour, as long as you would like them to be. They can be as brief or as long. but they're great for any environment, leading into the holidays, or maybe it's just day-to-day work stress. Meditation can kind of help give people breathing tips and things to kind of center themselves back again. Wine and unwind is a very popular one. It's actually yoga done along with wine or a beverage of your choice, can be non-alcoholic, but they walk you through yoga poses along with a beverage. And it's no yoga experience required, just a very fun way to be silly, but still get moving so it's not intimidating for anyone. And virtual influencers is something that I say to people to utilize the network that you have. If you work a lot with financial planners, maybe host an event that is focused around their expertise, things that they can recommend, or designers. If you're getting in front of your clients who need tips to stage their home, a virtual influencer interview can be a really great way to share the people that who have a lot of expertise with the others in your network.
Here's a quick question came in. You mentioned that there are companies that will help plan virtual events for the large groups, or maybe even provide a kit, like if you were doing a make a drink or make a dessert. How would one find, and what are options for those companies that will come in and help you do that?
No, that's really great. And I would say right now, one of the things I strongly recommend is sourcing locally. So many of the hospitality industries in cities and areas around the country are really struggling right now. So I would suggest, connecting with local breweries, local wineries. There's a lot of places that have done in-person cooking classes that will now offer those kits. Here in Chicago, we have Italy, and we've got the mixing block, I think is what it's called, and they will help to put together the kits, ship them around the country. Same thing on here. We have fall painting. There are local places in your community that were hosting those wine and paint parties. Pinot's Palette is one here in Chicago that will pack up not the sketch pad, but the canvas and the paintbrushes and the paint, and they'll ship them out to your attendees so that they can paint along with a live demo. So that's what I would really recommend, is looking local to your company.
The vendors would love it too, like the hottest restaurant in the local community, or a craft thing like that. I'm sure they would love to get involved.
Absolutely. That's what we've found, is that, those local businesses will get super creative. They're very flexible because they want that business right now. They're looking for other ways to work with, event planners or hosts that want to engage the community. So that would be my recommendation. There are some good companies nationwide, but I'd like to give love to the areas that you live in.
Yeah, love it.
So just a few ideas for, like I said, those small groups where you want to be interacting. Like I mentioned, the fall painting classes, mystery nights, mystery dinners. There are companies that will, send each of your attendees the character that they are, the plot for the crime, and then they'll run the event that evening, with different clues that you need to solve to figure out who done it. Floral arranging classes. These are great. Either, you can have the supplies shipped out, or a lot of the experts will just give a list of items that most people have in their homes, like candles or maybe ornaments around the holiday, and then you can create a centerpiece around that. And bingo nights or trivia nights, anything where you can get people engaged in a little bit of competition, are also really fun to do virtually. Scavenger hunts, you can come up with a list of general items, like something shiny or something comforting, and then send everyone out throughout their house to go find those items, bring them back to the screen, and then obviously whoever comes up with the most matches then gets a prize. So those are really great, again, when you want people to be leaving their cameras and mics open and engaging with each other. And then we have to talk about the holidays since those are coming up. These are options out there as we move into the end of the year and then even into January, and we're setting those resolutions. Goals and gimlets is a fun one for anybody looking to examine how this year went, maybe goals that you had set that completely went out the window with everything, reestablishing those for 2021. What else would you like to achieve either personally or within your business structure? And then as a celebration, once the hard work is done, getting to create a craft cocktail is always great. Santa lunches are something that are very popular around the holidays, getting that photo with Santa, but we're not doing those in-person gatherings. So we have connected with companies that are arranging for Santas to do those virtually so that the younger group can still share that wish list, they can still engage with Santa and feel like the holidays are on track. They're still going to get to celebrate that fantastic holiday, and that jolly old man is looking out for them.
Yeah, some for the kids. That's great. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, those scavenger hunts are also really great for the younger generation. They can run around the house looking for those items. And yeah, the Santa meet and greets are really great as well. Nutrition classes as we get into the start of the year. Like I said, New Year's resolutions, we indulge too much in the holidays or maybe just during quarantine. Taking a look at ways to get back on track and get that all going for people is a great option to give your network. Well, with that being said, I do want to mention that as agents or as those out there trying to look to host events, within the guaranteed rate companies, our loan officers get to utilize my team. So I have a team of event coordinators that help our loan officers come up with ideas. We help nail down all the logistics. We design invitations for them. We create RSVP tracking sites. We handle all of that for our loan officers. And if you are partnering up with them, if you are an agent looking to work with a loan officer or you already do, take advantage of the fact that we have these services within our companies. I have a few invitation designs that I can share with you here that were created within our company to promote these fun, great events that we are working on with them and that you could also take advantage of. We always brand everything together with all of the co-hosts involved, all of the logos, all of the contact information. They truly are co-hosted events. So I do want to mention, if anyone is interested in that, you do have that as an option. But to conclude, those of you who are thinking, what should I be doing now? How do I prepare? Start planning out your end of the year events right now. And then even those into the calendar year next year. The more proactive you can be with a plan, the better you are to stick to it. That doesn't mean, you can't shift things around a little bit, but we have found that, those we work with who set up at the start of the year, either an event every month or an event each quarter, they are better insured that they get in front of their network. They're better insured that they, are meeting new potential clients, and it's leading to success and more business. Yeah. Connecting with no, go ahead if you have.
No, I said, and with the plan, I would think just like a in-person event, to make it a big deal. If you say, well, we're having a little happy hour, stop by, people are like, I'm busy. If you say it is a meet the chef at this, amazing spot and it's in 2 weeks and here's the invite, and just like a virtual event, to make it an event and to make it big, to get people to come and do the work beforehand.
Exactly. Things that they, can get excited about. Like we were saying, people are really looking for that right now. So sending that save the date, maybe with some teaser information, and then following up with, more info, more details, getting that chance to really connect with them is vital.
Okay.
Yeah. And then just make sure when you're at your event that, you have current contact information that you share with your guests. that you are giving them any updates that they need to know about your business. Even if you're doing a cooking class or if you're doing a mystery dinner, you have that chance at the start to, connect with them, say hi to everybody, remind them of your services. Again, that's kind of the idea behind this, to make sure you stay in front of them, make sure you remind them of how you can help them. And then very, very key is following up after the event. Make sure that you thank them for coming, whether it's a phone call or an email, maybe sharing photos from the event, whether it's screenshots or, when we're back to in-person events, sharing those, taking that time to really connect one-on-one with everybody who attended, and even those who maybe couldn't attend. Don't lose that advantage of, again, connecting with all of them and getting your name out there.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, thank you.
Any questions that came rolling in, Sarah?
Nope, no questions here, but a lot of really excited feedback.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I would say start now, plan your holiday events, make it a big deal, and there's no reason you can't have your annual event that you've been having with your A clients or with their kids. People are always looking for something to provide their children too. I know that's been a big hit.
Definitely. And yeah, we're happy to answer any questions if you guys want to reach out with anything more specific. But to Kurt's point, it's just be sure you're participating, hosting those events, getting those invitations out there, make that plan and then follow through. You'll see the results from it.
Great. So contact your loan officer if you want to loop them in and get Deb and her Rockstar team involved. Otherwise, get out there and start planning your event. If you want to get a hold of us here at the Agent Advantage team, there's our contact information. It's agents@rate.com. And that's anything regarding our agents.rate.com Agent Advantage site, which is coaching and marketing and our technology, everything we do here at the Guarantee Rate Companies for you, our trusted realtors. Love hearing from you, love your feedback, and hope you join us on a future webinar. Deb, thank you so much. Great to see you. Good stuff.
You.
Appreciate it. And on behalf of Sarah, I'm Kurt Klaus, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Have a great day. Be well.